Hey everyone, good day once again and welcome to another Prism Caribbean video. I am your tutor, Jordan Jaffa, and today we'll be continuing with our Prism Caribbean math, and today we'll be starting algebra. Of course, everything that I do here, practice is key, practice is consistency. The only way you'll get better is through practice, understanding what you know and understanding what you don't know, so you can work better, or get better I should say, any things that you don't know. So let's begin. In order for us to fully grasp algebra, we need to know particular rules or particular notes about it, I should say. So the sum of two numbers we have to know, right? Also, we have to know the difference of two numbers, and we also have to know the product of two numbers. At least we have to know when to identify them. So the sum of two numbers is identified as x plus y, where x plus y can be any number. It can be it can be the same number, it can be different numbers, it can be letters, anything. But once we have this sign, we know it's a sum. Difference of two numbers is just x minus y. Of course, these signs give it away. Where x and y can be letters, numbers, anything you want. But once you see the subtraction sign, we know it is the difference. Right? We know it's the difference. The product of two numbers will be given as x, y. It's of course a mini multiplication sign here, but we don't need to show it, so that's why it wasn't shown before. And so we know when there is no space, or when there's a multiplication sign, we know that's the product. Again, addition sign, sum of two numbers, difference of two numbers, x minus y, and product of two numbers, x times y, or x multiplied by y, right? So we also have to know some basic rules with indices, right? So as of right now, I'll go through a basic one, which is the multiplication, and of course we'll get to more in a bit. But the multiplication one in particular, I know gives a lot of people trouble, hence why I want to get it out early. So we have x by y, right? X times y will give us xy, right? But what if we have x times x? This will give us x to the power of 2. Now, why I say that? If we have the same base, which is in this case x, and we have a power of 1 and 1, we will have the powers being added to the same base, which will give us 2. Of course, it will, if it was x squared by x squared by x, you guessed it, the same base, we add the powers, which will give us x to the power 3, which is x cubed, right? So now a little application. Sometimes in your past papers, the questions may appear like this. We are given 4p to the power 4 and q to the power 4 multiplied by 8p to the power of 7, and let's say q squared, right? The first thing you need to do is multiply what we know. 8 by 4 is 32, and we need to put on what we know. We know we're going to have a p and q, so we put on the p and q. Of course, the signs, the numbers here are what gives you the marks, right? So we have p to the power of 4 times p to the power of 7. You can pause the video at this point and figure out what to do and resume the video to get the answer. But what to do is, both of them have the same base, that is p. So we just add the powers. So we have 4 plus 7, which will give us, 4 plus 7, which will give us 11. P to the power of 11, right? Of course, we don't write it directly above the p like that. We are mathematicians, so write it in its proper place. Okay, I guess that's on top of the P, but you understand where I'm coming from, right? So yeah, Q now, same base, which is Q. So we add the numbers since we are multiplying, right? Since we are multiplying, so it will be 4 plus 2, which is 6. We put the 6 there as a power of Q. Again, to go over this, we multiply what we know, the 4 and the 8, which will give us 32, and then we have P, which is the same base, right? So we just add the power since we are multiplying, so it will be 7 plus 4, which is 11, and we get 11. And then we'll have 4 and the 2, because it's the same base and we are multiplying, we'll add the powers to give us 4 plus 2, which is 6. And that's it regards to that. Now let's go into something a bit harder. Let's say we have a third x, for instance, multiplied by, let's say, minus 42y, right? What will this be equal to? Of course, we go with what we know. As always, let us go with minus a third times minus 42, right? And of course we know this will give us positive, right? It will give us a positive because we multiply into negatives, which will give us a positive, and this will simply be 42 divided by a third, which will give us 14. Then we have x times y. Because it's two different letters, we use the product of two numbers rules, of course, where we just multiply it. There will be no power addition because it's not the same base. So it will just simply be 14xy. To go over that one more time, a third x times, negative a third x times negative 42y. We multiply the negative a third by the negative 42, which will give us 14. And then we take the x and y and we multiply it and we get xy. It's as simple as that, right? Right. So moving on to something a bit harder, right? Let's say we're moving on to now division, right? Let's say we're given something as 32p to the power of 4, and let's say q to the power of 7 over, let's say 4p, I don't know, let's say 3, and q to the power of 2. Now, with division, it follows something closely related to the multiplication, but because it's division, we use subtraction in terms of the powers. But let us get into it. 32 divided by 4 is 8. And then we know we're going to have a P and Q, so just put a P and a Q, right? And of course the powers now make all the difference. So now, when we carry this 3 above here, because it is division, we subtract the powers. So in multiplication, if it's the same bases, we add the powers, but in division, we subtract. So carrying this on top, we will have P form, okay, let me write on that somewhere else. We will have P to the power 4 minus 3, right? Okay, let me write it in the answer itself, right? We'll have P to the 4 minus 3, and then you guessed it, with the same base Q, you'll have 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2, right? Because this topic seems to be a bit complex, so not complex, but many may be new to it, I will cover this topic again, so no need to worry. So we have 8, of course, and then we have P and Q. We have 4 minus 3 is 1, so we can either leave it as this or just put a 1. Then we have Q into the power of 7 minus 2. And of course we put the 5. And that's it. Again, because we have the same base, we write down the same base. And because it's division, we subtract the powers. So we carry this above here. So it will be 4 minus 3. Carry this above here, so it will be 7 minus 2. And as we have it here, we get the answer here, 4 minus 3, which is 1, and 7 minus 2, which is 5. And that's it. We also have to know about the distributive law, right? So the distributive law is basically grouping terms which cannot be added or subtracted, right? So it's as simple as that. Groups which cannot be added or subtracted. So let me just clear off some space here, right? Let me see if I can move this up. Okay, actually I can't. So it's just best I leave that there, right? So anyways, so just some examples of the distributive law. Let's say we have ax plus bx is equal, well, okay, so let's say we have to, factor this, factorize. Again, we are grouping terms which cannot be added or subtracted. We cannot add ax plus bx. We can't. What answer we will get, I have no idea. It cannot be added. But however, we see x being in common with both. So what if we take out the x? Now we will have to have the a and b, right? So now this is where we pull a bracket open, close the bracket. And we have the a and b. Because there was addition here, let me not confuse anyone by putting that line there. Because there was an addition there, we put the addition here. It's as simple as that. We factorize what's common, we have the x common. Then we put both other terms in brackets. So it will be a plus b. Right? And if you want to verify if your answer is correct, of course, we can multiply it out. But I will show that in the next example. Let's say some application now. We have 16 into 2x plus 5y. Right? We want to expand. Right? It's as simple as this. We multiply each term by the outside value. So it will be 16 by 2x and 16 by 5y. 16 by 2x will give us 32x, of course. And 16 by 5y will give us 80y. And why we place a plus? Because over here was a plus. Of course, if we had two negatives, the answer here will remain as a plus. And we'll have a negative for the first answer, right? And yeah, again, so let me show you again this expansion one more time. Let's say we have to expand negative 17 4a minus 3b, right? Again, negative 17 by 4a and negative 17 by negative 3b. Do not forget that. So negative 17 by 4a will give us negative 68a, and negative by a negative will give us positive. Are we clear on that? Again, negative by a negative will give us positive, and don't forget we have to multiply the 17 by 3, right? So 17 by 3 will give us 51b, and that's it. So just to go over it, we take the first term, right, for factorizing. We look at what is common in the first term and the last term. So you know x is common, so we take out the x, and then we place in the bracket, the other values. We know x by a will give us ax, and we know b by x will give us bx. So that's why we have a plus b here. So moving on to the expansion one more time. We take the outside variable, which in this case is negative 17, and we multiply by 4a, and we get negative 68a. And then we take negative 17 and multiply it by negative 3b. And of course, negative by negative will give us a positive, and it will be 17 by 3, which is 51b. And that's it. I am your tutor, Jordan Jaffer, for Prism Caribbean. And the next topic we'll be moving on to is factorization.